पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We had seen yesterday that the action is important in the spiritual life. But the conviction that action alone should be there at all time, this concept is not agreed everywhere. The pravritti should culminate in nivritti, and nivritti should culminate in going beyond pravritti and nivritti. See my point? The pravritti should culminate in nivritti, and nivritti should culminate in going beyond pravritti and nivritti. We should do dharma to get out of adharma. But Gita says you should go to a position where you are beyond the dharma. Dharma is required to get out of uncontrolled thought. When I have left the uncontrolled thought, then my mind is pure enough, and then to hold the dharmic karta is not advisable. Already you have attained the purpose of dharma. Now one has to go beyond the dharma. Because in dharma, I feel I have to do this, I have not to do this. Dharma is to get out of a vasana. After vasana is over, that dharma should go to param dharma. Swadharma is required to get out of a certain tendency. After swadharma, I am mastered the swadharma. Then I need to go to dharma of Atma. And therefore Gita had said sarva dharman parityajya. Same Bhagwan who said swadharme nidhanam shreya pardharmo bhayavaha. Same God will say in 18th chapter sarva dharman parityajya. Same Shastra which asks you to go to the brahmacharya life and the vivaha life, same Shastra will come to tell you, now you cut all that life. Therefore, when brahmachari is given the yajñopavit, he is given the tuft. There is a tuft on his, so that he is holding on to his scriptures, dharma. He is attached at one place. But when sannyas is given, it cuts the tuft also. When sannyas is given, two things are cut. One is the yajñopavit is cut, and other is tuft is cut. That means from now onwards, you are free from the bondage of scripture because you don't need it now. Neither you need any kind of attachment now. Now you are supposed to live a life of complete contemplation and renunciation. And for that kind of seeker who has got to this stage, this statement is meant Atma iti eva upasita. Yesterday, for that seeker it is said, scriptures don't ask you to leave the action until you are worthy of leaving the action. Action is a very good medicine, but not a food. So one should do act, one should do karma kand as long as he has some disqualification. After the qualification is attained, action has no meaning in the life of a seeker. And therefore, this kind of statement is not for the karma yogi. It is not for bhakti yogi. It is for the one who has gone through this path of karma and bhakti. Please let me tell you that unless one has gone through this karma yoga and bhakti yoga, karma, bhakti and jnana are not three paths. That we had a choice to go to bhakti yoga, karma yoga or jnana yoga, and I have chosen jnana yoga. ऐसा नहीं है. When the vasanas are more, a person is naturally expected to lead a life of karma yogi, so that he can get out of his gross attachment. After the same karma yoga path leads you to bhakti yoga. That means you have a surrendered mind and ahankar is very diluted and softer. Same bhakti yoga leads you to jnana yoga. Same bhakti yoga takes you to the path of jnana. Same God comes in the form of good situations and He sends the teacher for Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasan. Tesham aham samudharta samrityu samsar sagarat. So it is the Lord alone who provides that situation. And then ultimately we need to take a break from the world, because any kind of serious thinking requires that I should keep my worldly work at bay. Already I have done, and I should focus on the knowledge of the self for considerable time. Such is the glory of the jnanam. And this is mentioned here. So please see all the means and the goal. Those people who say one should do action only, they have not understood the ultimate truth of life. Some people ask the question, what sadhana shall I do? I ask question, what is your sadhya? It is asking like, which train shall I take? Then actually the person will say, where you want to go. So much of the Shastra is clarifying the ultimate goal first. Then you can think about the sadhana. If you do your sadhana without the clarity of sadhya, depth won't come, punya will happen. That punya will make the sadhya clear, this much I can say. But sadhya should be clear, where I want to go, why I want to go. If I don't attain, what will happen? If I attain, what will happen? Who will give me the knowledge? What is the meaning of surrender? What is the meaning of karma yoga? What is the meaning of bhakti? What is the meaning of Ishta Devata? What is the meaning of Guru? what is the meaning of Guru Bhakti, what is the meaning of Jap, what is the meaning of Puja, what is the meaning of meditation, what Ramayana says, what Gita says, which chapter of Gita, why the third chapter is there, why fourth chapter is there. Much of the time should go in understanding all these things. And for understanding these things, we need little seclusion and little solitude, at least of 1 hour, 2 hours per day. Then the clarity will be there. Without sadhya nishchay, sadhan dardhyam won't come. So sadhya nishchay has to be there. Okay, this is the sadhya. The sadhya is Jivatma Paramatma Aikya Bodh. This is the sadhya. From the first day I have been saying, our problem is the experience of a small self. The experience of a small self. And I had mentioned, if you remember, that ego is nothing but frequent experience of a smallness of self with the slightest situation. Nobody makes us small. I feel small. Bhagwan Ram didn't feel small when he was insulted or given to the forest because he didn't have that ego. In front of everybody, whole Ayodhya, he was made to put the bark of the tree. He didn't feel small. Valmiki Ramayana, if you read, it says, when Sita ji was given bark of the tree, it didn't fit her. Again, Ramji made her fit. He didn't feel small when he was lying on the floor for sleeping. He didn't feel small when he had to eat in his palms. He didn't feel small when he was shouted on by Parashuramji. He didn't feel small when Bharatji was given the kingdom. Our problem is somewhere, solution we are seeking somewhere. For Purva Mimamsa, solution is by doing the karma and going to some big lok. This is the solution. So Vedanta says, Kshine Punye Martalokam Vishanti Evam Trai Dharma Anuprapannaha. So you do action because it is coming by a velocity, it will come back to you. That means you will have to come back after any lok. Because lok is a product of karma and upasana. Anything is the product of karma, as long as the velocity of karma is there, it will be there. After that, it will come back. Now I am coming back to our topic. Now, when yesterday you heard that Purva Mimamsa said this Atma Ityeva Upasita, this is a Vidhi Vakya. And he gave 4 points, if you remember. Point number 1 was that you study the Upanishad and then there is a commandment to know. So you should study and after that commandment is to know. Commandment means Vidhi. To that point Bhashyaka replied, when while studying only if I had known, then why should I need another commandment to know? I had explained this, if you remember. If you remember, very good. Don't remember, then also very good. This was the first point. Second point was that commandment that one should know is before the study of the scriptures. So you should do something first, then you should study. So Tattvamasi Mahavakya is there or Aham Brahmasmi Mahavakya is there, but before that you should follow certain things. For this realization of this Vedic statement, you need another statement to follow. So Bhashyakara said, one statement cannot command another statement. So if Tattvamasi Mahavakya needs another statement to follow, then this will need another statement to follow. And this way you will lead anavastha dosh or regress infinitum. This was the second point. I explained it. I hope you have understood, and you are writing also. Third point which he said was, okay, I agree this is not a commandment for knowledge, but upasit is the commandment for remembering the knowledge. Remembering the knowledge, so that you won't think about anatma. Then answer was given, there is no requirement for such commandment. Why? Because anything which you know directly, you don't need to remember. Something where knowledge is weak, there you need to remember. Therefore you say, please remember, don't forget this, because it has not become a knowledge. You don't forget that your name is Ram Prasad, or your name is Tony, or sorry, not Tony. Your name is supposing Girish. But when you were a small child and you were given the name, then you may have forgotten once or twice from the home name to the school name. Home name was Bablu and the school name was Girish Chandra. No, I did not remember that. Therefore it is required. When knowledge already has taken place, then remembrance is not a need. I was giving an example. When I see you, I don't remember you. Smriti and Pratyaksh Gyan won't be together. Therefore, he need not remember that knowledge for thinking, for the fear of thinking of anatma. And therefore, it is not required. And second point, in this Smriti it was said that you are saying Smriti is required for anatma vishaya. Because thinking about the worldly thing is not good. Rag, dvesh. Our whole problem is that we think unnecessarily on various topics. If you calculate, around 90% of our thinking is useless. I am giving a moderate number. When satsang is not going on. Ordinary day, supposing you have free day, no satsang, no schedule, you will see how much thoughts are useless. If there is some machine which captures all your thoughts and at the end it gives you a report, you will not like to see that report. That this is the percentage of thoughts. So much useless thoughts are there. Because ordinary person keeps on brooding. It is called brooding. Brooding, you understand, no? Thinking without reaching to conclusion, going to the same point again and again, that is called brooding. You are in cycles now. Worry, anger, all these are brooding thought. It is not taking to conclusion, rather than more confusion is there. After thinking, I became more disturbed. Therefore, we avoid our own company. And Gurudev used to say, if you can't enjoy your own company, why inflict it on others? So, therefore we avoid, because I know my company, and people say like that, I was sitting alone, I got bored, and therefore I went to you. That means you got bored because of you. That means you are a boring person for yourself. And therefore you are coming to somebody else to remove that boredom. You are giving that boredom to somebody else now. This is called brooding. You know what is a sign of a seeker? He enjoys his company a lot. Because he has such wonderful thoughts, ideas. When he is quiet, he is in his own element. He can go to meditation, he can do jap, or he can think about some shastriya statement. So, the samsari needs a smriti. Remember this, remember that. But this person who is a jnani, who already has practiced the sadhana, how to negate the anatma, he does not need to negate the anatma by remembering the atma. Because he has his habit of not remembering the anatma. He is not going to brood on, he has conquered those habits after years of sadhana. We think a lot, but we should think whether we should think on this topic or not. Before putting a thinking on a subject, we should also give a thought, is it worth? Is this topic worth? You will find so many 80% times, you will find it is not worth giving attention. Giving wrong attention is called tension. So when you give attention to the wrong issues and wrong thought, that is called tension. She said it doesn't need that Atmanubhuti. It doesn't need the memory. You remember that.